Okay, so good evening and welcome to CanHammer, your stop for Age of Sigmar from the Great White North. Today's show is episode 66, and it is an Age of Sigmar show all about the new Seraphon. We also have a special interview with Alex Gonzalez, who's one of the AOS slash fantasy style organizers from Adepticon. So that'll be really exciting. You get to meet him in a few minutes. For people that never turned in, this is a basically bi-weekly internet radio show that we do live on Twitch TV, and then we record it and put it on YouTube and iTunes. Um, it's so if you're in the chat on Twitch or you want to come on Twitch, you can follow us on Twitter or anything like that, and we'll, tweet out when we're starting it, and you guys can follow along and harass us and have a good time. So as usual, my name is Chris at CanHammer Chris on Twitter, and I am joined by, from Ottawa, Ontario, Mr.
Logan from OnePlus Armor at OnePlus Logan on Twitter.
And joining us all the way from Rockford, Illinois, we have Mr.
Alex Gonzalez.
So right on. So it's Alex's first time on the show, and as I said earlier, he's one of the head. I don't know, would you call it fantasy side? Is this still fantasy side?
I would say Warhammer coordinator.
Warhammer
is
coordinator.
My technical title. I'm kind of the chief cook and bottle washer for anything that is or was Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and then Age of Sigmar. So that's kind of what I handle with Adepticon.
Sweet. So that's his job. So since you've never been on the show, Alex, we're going to give you a time to let us know. So how'd you start in the hobby, and what kind of armies you play? What kind of games do you play? And take it away.
Well, I got started in the hobby about 10 years ago. I started playing initially Necromunda and 40k, and that eventually turned into picking up my first Goblin army, and it kind of spelled it from there. I've done. What kind of games do you play? I'm getting there.
No, sorry, that was a mistake. That was a replay. That wasn't me talking.
Yeah, that was Echo.
Oh, okay. So over the years, I've been primarily playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and now Age of Sigmar is my primary game. I've owned and played just about every army there has been. Currently, a very sizable ONG army, Tomb Kings, and then I just started Stormcast. I also play a little bit of X-Wing, a lot of Malifaux, and then just a dabble of Infinity. So I'm kind of all over the map as far as what I like to do and models I've been playing. But I've been doing this and hitting the tournament scene for about the last 10 years, running Adepticon for last 4 or 5. I've been running it all the way through 8th edition and now into Age of Sigmar, and I was helping out for a few years prior. So, yeah, I've kind of been around.
That's awesome. So what's your favorite game right now?
It's Age of Sigmar. There's really
Yes.
no doubt for me. At first, when I first read all the rules, I was a real nerd rager about it. But then you started to really look at it and try to make it work, and it's suddenly substantially more enjoyable when you can make some small changes to it, and it makes a world of difference for how the game plays and what it feels like, and it's just so enjoyable.
Awesome. Good stuff. So for your Malifaux, what crew is would you say is your go-to crew, just in case people are wondering? Because a lot of guys have jumped ship to Malifaux.
I predominantly play Resurrectionists. So that's the particular faction. And usually my go-to masters are Nicodem and McMorning right now. I'm still trying to figure out some of the other ones, and I just don't have the models for some of the other ones. So that's what I've been doing right now, and I'll be expanding into Outcast soon. But predominantly that's what I do, but a lot of what I've been doing right now has been huge AOS kick. So
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's why we got you on the show to talk about Adepticon and some of your AOS stuff later. I have a few. Actually, there's only one thing a contention I found in your compact, but we'll talk about that. So we'll jump
Here we
along.
go.
It's not even a big deal. It's just we'll get to it. It's awesome.
Okay.
We'll get into the hobby. So I guess I'll start with me. I kind of went on this weird kick where. So I should start off. We have an announcement to make that's kind of bad news. I actually I had to resign due to personal reasons as captain of the Canadian ETC team. So that happened. And basically, since then, I kind of said, well, I want to do something that's a little bit more hobby-oriented and not so much crack on my Eldar and get them pumped up. So I decided to build all outstanding board games before my Horus Heresy board game gets here. So I built my Dreadfleet, which I'd have to say is one of the nicest kits I've ever built. Like as far as like cool factor, it might be because they're so different than everything else. Is like
Hmm.
you build these ships and you take a look at them and it's like you're holding a toy, but they're extremely well detailed and they're so much bigger than I ever imagined them. And it just kind of got me super pumped to play Dreadfleet because the models are just so cool. And so I just really hope that the game doesn't suck as bad as the internet said because
Well,
they're
we've heard mixed reviews, right? Like some people were saying it's really, really fun, but super random, and others were saying it's so random it sucks. So we'll have to find out.
yeah, but I can't get over like when you see the ships there, you're just like, whoa, these are cool,
Yeah.
and they were super complex to build. But yeah, I did that, and then I built my Assassins board game, the Assassin, what's it, Hunter Quest, what's it called, Assassin's Execution Force. The reason is I was like, okay, I might as well build that one because I started with Dreadfleet, and then Logan and I have a little challenge that we're gonna do. Is I'm gonna take 8 assassins, 2 of each, and 2 of the formations for 40K, and we're gonna try and play it out and see if the assassins can win. So it should be a good time. So that's
Yeah.
basically been, I want to say 2 weeks because we went to a tournament, which we'll talk about on the next show, but we went to the Boys GT. So, between a tournament and building 2 board games, that's 2 weeks. So I'll hand it on to you, Logan.
All right. I have been partially working on a commission that's coming up for our group. Run a paint studio with a couple of other guys from OnePlus Armor, and we've got a huge Dark Angels commission that we're working on. So I am slaving over 30 bikes I have to have built by the end of the month. So that's going slowly and painfully at this point, but it'll get done. Other than that, I've got a few models I have to paint up for our tourney next weekend. So I also just found out that I am completely out of my white primer spray. So I've been priming models by hand, which is not a fun process. But
It's not smooth either.
no,
Do you,
it's
do you
not.
find that?
I've had to do like 5 coats, and I use a white base as well. So
Ouch.
yeah, it kind of sucks, but fortunately, it's only like 5 or 6 models, and so I'm just gonna strip them and repaint them afterwards rather than give up my paint score.
Yeah. So I'm going to be a little bit mean to you. So you don't do any painting, right? You just assemble for the paint studio?
Yeah, oh no, I'm not a good painter at all. I'm just here for assembly, and I handle the business side of things, and then the people that actually have talent do the painting.
So awesome. Just
Yeah.
in case, somebody's like, oh, I don't want Logan painting my miniature.
Yeah, no, I'm a solid
Just
like
teasing.
6, 7 out of 10 kind of painter. Nothing I'd sell.
Nah, your towel looked fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that's all you've been up to, and you also went to that tournament, which of course
Yep,
took
talk
up
about
a
next
lot of
one.
our time, but we'll talk about that next show. So, Alex, what have you been up to last couple weeks in the hobby?
Well, I've had like hobby ADD in like the worst way. I've been bouncing between Malifaux, Infinity, painting up some odds and ends for those, assembling Stormcast. I'm working on getting a good chunk of them done for Wapaka this year
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
for their AOS tournament. So I'm working on that, and then just a lot of playtesting scenarios and writing rules and making it go. And round basing orcs and goblins. I've been converting my whole army. So
That's awesome. And do you find like it's worth the conversion, right?
it is. I mean, it's one of those things you don't have to do it. You certainly are not required to do it in any stretch, but anything that I've put on a round base looks better for being on a round base. And I know it's just like with the smoothness of the sides and everything like that, but it's just the aesthetic is that much better when it's on a round. So,
Yeah, if you
but
don't have
again,
stuff
that's
ranked up, the squares are just they don't work.
no, they don't. But it's one of those things that, again, if you want to keep it on a square, that's fine. You don't have to rebase it.
Yeah.
But I am doing that because I like the look of it better, and I don't know, it just looks cleaner.
Yeah, and you as like the organizer of possibly one of the biggest AOS tournaments, hopefully in North America, just lead by example, right? Have a really nice looking round based army.
I am trying to do that. I
Which is
mean,
awesome.
I'm a 6 out of 7 painter. I'm not that good, but you know, whatever. And
I
then
don't
I
think I've
was,
ever. No, you actually your Tomb Kings were at Wapaka, right?
yeah, the
Yeah,
solid gold.
that was a good looking army. I think you're a little bit hard on yourself with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I always am.
Yeah.
But and then I was at a AOS tournament 2 weeks ago. At WCW, the Windy City Throwdown GT.
Oh, how was that? I heard that was a
Um,
lot of fun.
it was good. There were 5 of us. Um, it was it was fun because we just got to. It was me and four of my club mates in the ringer. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
not a swell turnout, but for those of us, we were the only club to the man that dressed up like professional wrestlers because that's what you got bonus points for
Awesome.
because it's WCW.
That's
I
great.
got to see a lot of my friends that I didn't need to see.
Yeah.
Um, and I wore sweatpants for the first time since I was a kid, and that was just awkward. I really don't like sweatpants.
Oh man,
Yeah.
sweatpants are magical.
No, I only wear
No,
jeans, buddy.
yeah, I could not do it. I mean, I had to do it because it was part of the outfit, but man, it feels really weird wearing sweatpants. I know that's just like a normal thing, but I only own one pair of pajama pants, and I am not an active guy, so I don't ever wear sweats. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, Five Guys. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you remember the approximate armies that were there? Like, which factions? Out of
Yeah, I
curiosity.
know exactly what it was. It was me playing Tim Kings, and then the guy that won had all Corn demons. And then we had all Nurgle demons, Corn warriors, Slanesh warriors, and then the ringer was ogres.
That's a weird mix. Yeah, that's cool though. Was the corn guy? Was he the bloodbound, or was he just pure corn like warriors?
No, just mono or the guy that won was just mono Corn demons.
Oh, okay.
A double skull cannon, dude on a jugger,
Yeah.
2 units of crushers, 2 units of dogs, Karanak and his free unit of dogs, Skull Taker, some bloodletters. It was a hard list. I had a really hard time with it.
No, that is a hard list. That's awesome. So that's cool, man. It's like the new books aren't winning the tournaments. I know it's Five Guys, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, how'd you do in that tournament before we move on?
I got best sports for the event.
Congratulations.
Thanks. They did a combined best paint, best sports award. Well, best sports and best paint awards between the two tournaments because there was not enough numbers to justify us getting our own sports and paints awards, which I understand. But it almost felt like cheating because like I played four of my best friends in the ringer, whereas the guy that got second for best sports had to play, five guys that he was not best friends with walking in. So,
Yeah.
whatever, I'll take it. But
It reminds
Yeah.
us reminds me of our AOS GT back in August, where we had 10 prizes to give out, and we had 10 players.
yay, stuff
You
for everyone.
participated. You participated.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like maybe you like if they're your best friends and they voted for you, that might just be like a because I generally don't vote for my friends. I usually
No.
put them last because we fight and argue the whole game. But
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was one of those things that it was I can't vote for the ringer just out of odds. So then I have to pick between four of my best friends, and there's no way around it because we didn't play anyone else.
Mhm.
yeah,
So
that's a good problem to have. So I guess we'll move on to the news. So the first thing we want to talk about is the rebundling of the Seraphon. And so one of the first things that came up is we Logan Googled imaged Seraphon.
Don't do
And
it.
so
Don't do it.
it's a lot of like Pokemon being killed and stuff like that. So
Oh, it's not being killed. No. If
Yeah.
you're 5 years old and you don't know what you're looking at, you might think that, but that's not what it is.
there was some violence, but I was like, okay, so that's Seraphon by
Don't do
the
that.
Google search. One thing that we found out is was there any rules changes, Logan?
It doesn't look like it. So, Alex, you may have found something that we missed. I just did spot checks on about 10 or 12 different units, and they were exactly the same as the War Scrolls that were out before, as far as I could tell.
well, they added the Skink Star Priest, the plastic priest that they came out with. He now is his own profile.
Oh, okay.
He is now another wizard. So he's got some cool stuff that he does, and then they renamed almost all the special characters to
That's the big one.
generics, which kind of stinks from like creativity and like individualization. And the only character we have left is Croak. But
Yeah. Yeah, but it does solve some of the issues with summoning because a lot of people,
oh yeah,
a lot of compacts are irked. They said, well, anything that's a named character, even though named, we all know what it means when they say that, but we said, oh, you can't have multiples. Let's say if some packs, and so this kind of got rid of it. Like you can just summon, because the good example is that One Eye. What's his name? Was it Kornak One Eye? Who's the albino one-eyed
Korak or
Gorak.
something. Gorak.
Korax, yeah.
There you go.
He's basically a Sunblood now. So it's just a generic, as Alex said, a generic type of character. And I actually really like it. I know it ruins the fluff, but a lot of these characters died on the old world, right?
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of other guys died on the old world and just randomly came back too. So
But they haven't been re-released.
yeah, I'll give you that.
Ooh, I went up on there. So yeah, so as Alex said, it's all good. Now the Lizardman faction still does exist, which I thought was interesting. It has 2 formations in it. It has the Skink Patrol, the Saurus Host, Skink Chief, Oxodal, Oxodal. He's still alive and he's in the Lizardman faction. And Tehawen, Tehanuane, the Prophet of Sotek, is still there, as well as Jungle Swarms. And
Jungle
if you
Swarms.
if you go on the app, they're still on square bases, and those models were not re-released on rounds, so it makes sense that they stayed Lizardmen. But I don't know. I
Interesting.
kind of wish they would have done it all and just got rid of the Lizardman faction altogether. I don't know what your take is on that.
Talking to me or Logan?
Whoever wants to answer.
Oh, okay. I think it's one of those that, you know what, they didn't include them, and you just got to move on from it. I mean, of those models, if you look at them, Oxyotl or whatever his name is, he doesn't really serve a function. I mean, he's a chameleon skink ninja master dude, but I don't know. It's just that's not the direction that they want to move in with the aesthetic. He looks very, very different from the rest of them. Same with Tehinoane, and then the swarms. They could have done those on rounds. They really could have, but how do you justify them as being, like celestial demons like the rest of them are? Because they're snakes.
And I didn't get I kind of felt like maybe these models would be discontinued and were just left in. Like maybe you can still buy them, but one day they'll just disappear and the kind of rules will stay here just for people that own them already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because it's all under order, right, for Seraphon and Lizardmen. So, I mean, unless if you play rules as written, which obviously is all GW necessarily cares about, there's no reason that you couldn't combine them. Like the only thing would be if they have special rules only affect Lizardmen versus affecting Seraphon or whatever, but it's perfectly playable. So if you wanted to do it, you could, which is fine. And you know what? If the casualties are jungle swarms, God forbid, then I think that's a better alternative to the rumors that Lizardmen were just going to get squatted. So
cool. And then so the new kits were released on round bases, the new Age of Sigmar boxes, which I kind of like the white aesthetic.
Yep.
I know most people don't care about that. One thing that pissed one of our buddies off was they changed the name of Temple Guard, eh?
Yeah, they're just Saurus Guard now or something like that.
Yeah, because I guess there's no temples.
Yeah,
to
there's
guard.
no temple. So fluff-wise, it makes sense, but it's sad.
It really, I didn't shed one tear over that.
Oh man, it pulls at the heartstrings. Not necessarily my heartstrings because I didn't play Lizardmen, but Temple Guard I don't know, they were one of my favorite units because they were super badass.
Yeah. And then the next thing in the AOS news is one of the best things I think out of this game is that it's basically a hardcover campaign style Seraphon army book. I'm going to call it an army book because that's how I feel it is. It has all their new rules in it. It has a bunch of fluff, all that stuff. Nice, beautiful hardcover book came out, and you can purchase that if you want to, if you're a collector, if you want to fill up a shelf with beautiful white hardcover books. I'm going to pass on this one just because I don't own a single Lizardman model or Seraphon model. But that's what I love about it is that as a somewhat competitive guy, I know I'm not really playing AOS super competitive right now, but I look at this and I go, okay, I don't need to buy this $100 book. All the rules are in the app, so I can read up on everything, check it all out, and this is where I go, this is brilliant by GW's part, because it gives there's so many guys I talk to that don't get to play. They have kids, they're stuck in their basement, and they just want to buy and collect and read these things as kind of their outlet, right? Like they may never get to play, but they just want to own it and feel like they're taking part in the world and the universe. And so this allows them to do that, become that collector. We don't have to alienate those guys from the beautiful art books and blah, blah, blah. But it also gives the guys that want to be in on more updates and have more optimal armies. And it lets us compete and just see everything. And
Yep.
this Seraphon release for me was just fantastic. In every way, I sat back and I went, GW, you guys are awesome. You gave everybody everything they want.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree, and this has been a theme that still, to me, is blowing my mind over the past three shows. I don't have anything bad to say. I mean, I'm usually a relatively upbeat guy, but I mean, if you go back to all the other times I've been on the show, I usually have something negative to say in some form. But yeah, I think that again they've hit the nail on the head. I mean, they've stuck with the free rules, which was my big concern going into this. Is okay, the models are being pulled, what's going on here? Why aren't there any new rules for this stuff? The models are still on the site, but the Wizardmen PDF is down. What's going on? And sure enough, all the rules are up there right on the site. You just go into the model and you click on the PDF and you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a fantastic thing because if you compare it to End Times, for example, where everything was hardcover, it was pricey, same as these guys, but it was the only way to get rules for things like Storm Fiends or Nagash, Morghasts, all that kind of stuff. It was it was ridiculous how many hoops you had to jump through to get some of these books because they sold out right away, with I think the exception of like Archaon or something. So being able to get the fluff side of that, which was huge and was why I bought a couple of the End Times books before I sort of saw the writing on the wall, and still being able to get the rules if you don't care about the fluff is perfect. You hit both camps, and with the world and the internet is these days, you're realistically not losing revenue as a result.
And even if you're just into the fluff, it's not the same, but you can buy. I don't know about the Seraphon book because I haven't explored that avenue as much as I would like to. But with the past book, I forget the name of it right now. You could buy. There's a series of novels that essentially tell a different perspective of that same approximate story. So if you just want to buy 3 or 4 $10 novels, you can get the same feel. It's not the exact same as the book, but I found it similar enough that if you read them both, it kind of feels a bit
Yeah.
not repetitive, but it's just too much from the same angles. So we'll go to you, Alex. How do you feel about this release?
I actually just read through the book. I do have a local Seraphon player who did order it. It's gorgeous on the inside of it. There's lots of new stories in there. Because I just picked up the Storm cast battle tome, and you read it, and it's kind of like a rehash of what's happened in the first two campaign books that they've come out with. But this is all new fluff and all new background into explaining what these guys are, where they came from, and kind of how they fight and what they do. So I think it adds a lot more depth to it that we've not had yet beyond Stormcast and Chaos. So it adds a new dimension to it, especially if you're a fluff kind of guy. It definitely fills in more holes, and I think we're gonna get that going forward with these books.
See, I'm glad that you were here just to tell me that because I found the same thing. Is that as I found that it was like a little bit rehashing. But if you're saying the Seraphon's completely new, I might have to actually check that one out. That's cool.
Yeah, it's all new fluff. There's a lot of campaign with them against demons and warriors because that's kind of their thing, is to go bash those guys. So, but it's all new campaign stuff. There are some new battle plans or scenarios in there, and like there's even one where it's like a 3 army game, but only 2 players.
Cool.
So,
Who does the third army? Do you remember?
it's the Seraphon that essentially like, as they were like deep strike, um, and they kind of assist a smaller army controlled by the same player.
Okay, cool. So it's one guy versus the demons or something. That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out and do some more campaign gaming. Now that I'm not on the ETC team, Logan and I were talking all weekend. We can do a lot more because like you're no longer focused on one army and one event. We can basically do a lot more goofy stuff and play some different things. So we're both happy about that for what it does for our channel. Cool. So we're gonna skip it. I was supposed to have my Horus Heresy board game today, and it did come, but my car died, and I couldn't get to the FedEx Depot to pick it up.
So I had a chance to look at it this weekend. Someone at the local game store I go to picked it up, and so we went through it. Oh, you got your pin there.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
pin with White Dwarf. Yeah.
So yeah, we pulled everything apart. I guess just to confirm super quick rumors, it is all GW plastics, which is awesome. The cast quality is fantastic. The models look absolutely amazing. It's got that new box smell if you're into that kind of crack. But
I am.
yeah, it was great. That was the first thing I did. He opened the box. We had the box fart, and I just went over. But yeah, no, the board itself is gorgeous as well. It's right up there with the new Space Hulk game. Like it's top quality all around. I can't comment on how the game actually plays, of course, but if you're getting it for the models, it's still a fantastic deal. And also the price issues we spoke about, I think on the last show, where there was a rumor the price was going to go up. I found out a bit more information on that. So the box in I guess to go by U.S. prices, because I remember them offhand, was supposed to be 150, and the rumor was that it was going to go up to 185 after release. So it was only going to be 150 for pre-orders, and then it was going to go up. It turns out the information on that, the 185 price, was from an issue of Visions that came out before the White Dwarf, and the White Dwarf had the correct price of 150. And apparently the reason for it is when you're marketing stuff in the UK, as soon as you go above the £100 price point, it becomes much, much harder to sell, to move product. So somebody at GW said, nope, that's wrong, we're not doing that, keep it at £95, and the price stuck. So expect that to stick around.
That's cool. That's good to know that, and they probably have a lot of experience with that with a lot of the newer kits that are above 100 pounds,
Yep.
right? So
I'd imagine. It's
awesome.
good to see. At $150, it is a steal. Like you're paying half price you would be from Forge World.
Yeah, I was actually going to be kind of upset if they would have upped the price like that, and I'm glad to hear that that's just an error.
Yeah, looks like it.
Because now you can buy two and basically have a pre-heresy army.
Well, exactly.
Like,
And they were talking about that over on not Long War. Anyway, maybe it was Long War. I don't know. They were basically saying you buy two of these boxes, and yeah, you've got a whole 30k army because it's so heavily power armor, and you combine that with a few things you might have for 40k that you've gotten like Sicarans and whatnot, and you're good to go.
you need a few of the tanks. That's the one thing is you can't go because in 30k from what I've been reading into it because last show I forget who was the guy that was basically like Chris, you getting into 30k, and I was like yeah. So I started reading some of the stuff, and it looks like because Marines are the bench line, so they're essentially like the guardsmen of the 30k. It's like a Primarch goes in and kills a bunch, so you need like tanks and better units, from what I've gathered. So very cool. So moving along, new shade paint bottles was announced today, which I think is really good. I'm super happy about this. So they went from 12 milliliters to 24 milliliters. They went from 5 Canadian to 9 Canadian. So for an 80% price increase, you get double 100% extra wash. Yeah. And as somebody that buys Delvin Mud and Nuln Oil in essentially 6-packs,
yep.
Like I've actually gotten one of the boxes one time because I ordered so much in one order. I got a whole how they have it in the warehouse. I got a whole box of, like Nuln Oil. Like
that's great.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So this is good news, right? It's basically you're saving 20% on something that all gamers go through like crazy. It saves a little bit on. I'm sure that dollar you're saving is them saving the packaging cost, because of course 2 bottles, even though they may be only 12 milliliters each, cost more to produce than just one bottle.
Yeah. Again, this is awesome. I go through, so I play Nurgle and I play Tau, and for my Tau I do a white paint scheme with Nuln Oil in all of the recesses to give sort of a dark line effect. Like some people use really fine tip pens, I just use Nuln Oil. And for my Nurgle stuff, again, I'm not a great painter. It's basically a few different colors of green that dries, and then I wash the entire thing in Agrax Earthshade, and then I do some just some dry brushing on top of it. So I go through a bottle of this stuff every time I paint like a box or two of models. Mm-hmm. So this is awesome. I mean, even the price aside, the fact that I need to have less space on my painting tray is actually really good. But the fact that it comes at a 20% discount as well, it's fantastic.
That's the thing, you can't complain. People were complaining on Twitter, but it's like you can't.
You will use it
more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and it's
will
something
use
you
it.
use. Now, somebody was saying, "Or all the paint's going big," and I'm like, maybe some of the base paints might go big if you're doing horn, but I doubt it. I think it's just for the washes because they probably sell too many of them. I've gone into GW in Ottawa so many times and not like I've been stuck. I have a tournament coming up. I need washes. I go in there, I can't get them
Yeah.
because Grax Earthshade's the one that's always sold out, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So this might help with that.
Yeah, the only thing that I've also seen is that they're doing what do you call it? Liquid green stuff in that size tub. And
I checked that out on their website though, and it's still in the old tub.
yeah, I heard from my local store that that's the plan, is
Okay.
for them to go to those big tubs. And my problem with that is I don't use it that often, but when I need it, I need it.
Yeah.
And then it dries out until the next time I need it. So,
Yeah, that is a weird one.
Stock up now. You heard it here.
Yeah, you're right. That's almost too much for liquid green stuff because I've had one bottle of that in my entire life.
I'm on my second because my first one dried out. So I don't know.
Cool. The next one that's going to make a lot of people happy is they have a new backpack. The mugs are back and they're no longer in their metal containers. And we have some more accessories we'll talk about. So the first one's the backpack's $110 Canadian. And talk to my buddy Dan, works at GW. He says it's amazing.
Yeah, it looks great. It's perfectly functional. I do not understand why a piece of cloth is as expensive as the case that it holds, though.
Not quite as expensive.
It's $30 less.
But it's sweet in the fact that the Crusader case, as Logan says, is the best figure case on the market for the price. Would
I
you
love
say
it.
that?
I don't think you can beat it for the price.
And so he's been raving about that. I think we did a show on that a while ago. And anyway, this new thing wraps around it, and you have a spot for dice and tape, and
Yeah.
it's really sweet. But it's definitely a luxury item at $110. The mugs are back for $20 without the metal tub. I think they were like $30 before, so that I think it's a bit cheaper. I bought one because I'm a tool, but
Well, the thing is, if you're using it for a mug, that's fine. It's a cool, like, kitschy gamer mug. It's if you're using it for a paint mug, that's different. Like, I use an old curry jar from Loblaws to wash my brushes in. I'm not going to use a nice $20 mug for that.
you just hurt my feelings. Mine has brushes in it right now. No,
Yeah.
it's I bought it because I bought that Citadel box, project box.
It came with it,
and
right?
No, it didn't come with it,
Ah.
but there's a spot for it in there. So.
You shill.
Seriously?
Well, you could fit any jar, to be honest. I'm just as I said, I'm a tool. And more accessories that came out. You can check them out on GW.com. The big one though is the rangefinder, which is a $40 tape measure. This made me laugh. So yeah, you can buy a $40 tape measure if you want it. That's Canadian, so like $10 American. But
Oh, man.
next big, so we don't have too much news left, but the big next one is Specialist Games is returning to GW. There was an official announcement from GW,
Yep.
and it came out, I think it was like 4 days ago. We are starting a separate division. It's going to include Forge World. They're going to bring back, I think, Blood Bowl, Epic. Gorka Morka was not named.
No, Necromunda was.
Necromunda
Battlefleet
was.
Gothic.
Gothic, yeah.
Yeah.
Did they mention Mordheim?
I'd have to
no.
double check. That
I
would be
don't think they
awesome
did.
if they did. But
But we can check with that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they're also going to move their board games in. And so GW's announcement was that because the Horus Heresy board game sold so well, they've decided to just bring back a board game division.
Yeah. Which I think is cool. They've
Yeah.
I mean they've made a lot of really good board games in the past. I can't speak to the new ones because I haven't played them, but like stuff like Talisman is awesome. It's been around forever. The only interesting piece of news I've heard past this is going to make a lot of Epic players really, really sad. Epic was a 6mm game, right? Apparently it's coming back as 16mm.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
So none of your models are going to work for it. And part of the thing that played into this is you may remember there was a picture from the Forge World Open Day of the mini, the new Titan, the Mars pattern Titan, whatever it is, like the $4,000 kit from Forge World. They had a really small one that somebody thought was maybe just like a design. Apparently that's the model for Epic. And if you compare that to the older Epic models, that thing's like 4 times the height of a dominatrix, which is the size of like a city block. So it's gonna be interesting to see. If they do keep it the same size, awesome. If they don't, whatever, we've got Epic and Battlefleet Gothic and everything back. So,
Yeah.
and I think anybody who used to play Epic probably has enough stuff that they're just going to use the new rules and play with their old models anyway.
Well, if you want to play it, maybe buy the new kit. I'm sure it'll come out as like a board game as opposed to a full-on game like it used to. Like I could see Gothic just being like a starter set.
Yeah, it could be, and that would be something cool to do. Like Battlefleet Gothic, they could do their whole board game series as well, which would be great. But for something like Necromunda and Blood Bowl, those models can tie directly into the 40k and Age of Sigmar lines as well. So it cross promotes sales. So they don't necessarily have to make so much money off of it. They'll just do a couple runs of it, keep it in stock for a while, and then do a new run of it if they need to. So there's relatively low overhead, and they just keep selling it. But they don't have to create specialty models for it necessarily.
And I just looked up the app. Mordheim is not named in the official GW announcement, so that kind of sucks. But
yeah,
it might come, right? You might get your wish, Alex. You might.
I can hope. I really enjoyed playing Mordheim when it was a thing, and I don't know. I'm just kind of a sucker for stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just like they do that cool new Mordheim video game that they're coming out with, and it's like, yeah, that looks awesome. I want to do that with a miniature, and nope.
Yeah, that's still sort of throwing me for a loop with stuff like Vermintide and Total War Warhammer and everything that's based off IPs that don't really exist anymore. It's interesting.
There's got to be a market there or they wouldn't do it. But anyway, one thing that I find this most exciting is maybe because like they sell the board games in the store, and I'm assuming this new range they're going to get the starter sets at least in the stores. And if Forge World becomes under this umbrella, does that mean that Forge World now will have a presence in GW stores? That's me just speculating, but that'd be awesome. But I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Well, I think you know
You
my
don't think
thought.
so?
Well, no, it would be great if it happens. It literally will not change whether or not I'm buying Forge World stuff, though. And that's not to say that I won't buy Forge World stuff. Just I would rather not give my local GW business. Let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah. Ignoring that,
that's
but
a
then
different thing.
if local GWs can sell it, then you're independent retailer. So if you want to go and support them, which you generally should, like our independent retailer in Ottawa, I think he owns basically all the stores, doesn't he, in the Ottawa area?
Yeah, there's one guy that has moved in and sort of taken over all the local game stores here.
And we like to support him. So his name's Dylan. I don't know if that. Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't care, but he owns all the stores in Ottawa. So if you buy, not all of them, but
he is an owner in them. But yeah, and he's very supportive of the community, which is a really big thing.
He's the number one prize support contributor for Capital City Bloodbath. We have lots of good sponsors, but he's the number one. So check him out. So then I'm going to hand over to Logan.
All right,
he's the guy on the pulse of the 40K rumor mill. So take it away, buddy.
So, Age of Sigmar show. We'll keep this really quick. Just burn through this. First off, new Blood Angel model. Are they getting new stuff? Rumor mill says yes. Probably coming up first quarter, possibly as part of the Tyrannid expansion. Maybe we're going to see another, like Kalyan, the Warzone Damocles stuff that had the Tau and the Ravenwing. Maybe we'll see something new for Blood Angels. Wouldn't complain about that. That'd be pretty good. I don't think any Blood Angel player would be upset with that.
And that model's fantastic.
The
Absolutely.
model's
Chaplain.
beautiful. Yeah. It's a winged chaplain with a cool axe or something.
Yeah.
Really good model. Next up on this is, and I put in the show notes here, Chaos Space Marines coming soon. Be still, my heart. The rumor is that, again, first quarter, Chaos Space Marines are getting a complete rework from the ground up. And I just really hope this is true because they really need it. In my opinion, Chris has different feelings on it. Discussion for another time.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying I agree with you. I just don't think they're as bad. I'm not as doom and gloom as you are.
Fair enough. But yeah, so apparently that's coming. The idea behind it is that we're going to see a full, like, 7th edition style codex. You'll get, your detachments. And what I really hope, and I hope this carries over to Tyrannids as well, which are slated for a first quarter release, is that they're going to do away with army-specific rules that actually actively punish you for playing that army. So hopefully that goes away. Next up, we've got Tau and still coming. The Warzone Damocles Monk Ta, which is the Farsight Enclave supplement, is coming out this week or next, and it's got basically the Farsight Enclave stuff, all those formations from everything that's come out so far or been leaked so far. It looks like it's still very Crisis Battlesuit heavy, so if that's your thing, great. No
That's a
word,
lot of people's things,
yep.
right?
And no word on the signature systems or anything yet, but if the Tau Codex was any indication, they'll probably be almost identical. So, cool to have the option. And then last but not least, NIDS and Astra Militarum are due up for a Q1 release. The rumor mill on both of those is that it's not going to be an overhaul, unfortunately. It's going to be sort of like a Tau update where it's just an add-on, whether it's a campaign book or something else. It'll give them formations, give them detachments, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they find an effective way to get away from Codex Hive Tyrant, but that remains to be seen. And hopefully Guard get to do something other than be a giant blob squad for psychic powers.
I think Guard, with the slight updates that the Tau got, will be a fantastic book because they're not terrible, and
Nope.
they have access to the largest number of allies in the game.
Yep.
But the NIDS, you're right. It would be nice if they got something juicy.
Yeah. The NIDS need some help. If there are some people that are making them work in the tournament scene, but no one argues that NIDS are not an uphill battle, even if you play nothing but flying Hive Tyrants and stuff. They've got some problems that need to be addressed, and that's not just speaking from a competitive perspective. From even a casual perspective, NIDS really need some love. So hopefully they're going to get what they need. And that is all we've got on the 40K front for now that I am immediately aware of.
So, Alex, do you have any news or rumors that you've heard about that we maybe missed? Because you are from a different part, so you might have access to different rumors.
No, I think you guys covered everything.
Awesome. So we'll move on to events. This should be pretty quick. First one is we have a Kings of War tournament in Canada, which is a suburb of Ottawa, and it's November 28th. I do believe it is sold out, or maybe there's one spot left. Oh, there's one right now.
One spot, yeah.
So I actually dropped out of this one temporarily. If he can fill that one spot, it'll go to somebody else that is more into Kings of War than me. But if he can't fill that spot, I will go and play. No problem. I'm excited to go play. It's just that I'm flying in the day before. So there's that. And then Logan's event is this Saturday, P&P. So go. We've covered that 4 times, so super quick.
Again, super quick. November 21st, multi-zone in Gatineau, Quebec, which is right over the river from Ottawa. 10-minute, 20-minute drive. It is a full ITC event, 100% ITC FAQ, super heavy ban list, all that jazz. Only thing we've done is we've given a clarification on the coordinated firepower rule for Tau, just so it's not going to cause arguments. That's the biggest thing. Frontline is doing a poll for that this week or next. If it's done before the event, we will use whatever they have. I seriously doubt that's going to be the case, but throwing that out there. All the info for this, if you're interested, is over at oneplusarmor.com. And internet connection, which is a little bit iffy there. With that connection permitting, we'll actually be streaming the entire event from the venue, since we have been able to get all of our recording equipment and wireless headsets and a bunch of rechargeable batteries and other 9-volt batteries and whatnot. And we did get that working after our last stream, which was a bit of a failure. So we'll be streaming that, and if the internet connection does not support it, which it may not, we will try to record all of it so that we can put it up on our YouTube channel if anybody wants to watch.
Yep, and we'll try to get some remote on the road coverage, or at least we'll cover it on the podcast as well, so people can, because ITC is a really big thing. Support Frontline Gaming, support ITC, and it supports us as well, because we're all tied together in this community. So thanks, Logan. The next thing is we have a big special announcement. The CanHammer Team Tournament is coming back.
Yes!
So more information to follow. It won't be until April, May next year. We have the exact dates, but I'm leaving it a bit blank because of the venue. It's paid for, but we're not written in stone enough to announce. But it is happening. It's 4-man ETC rules. We're going to be using the previous year's ETC comp unless a new one comes out. We're going to limit it to 1 book per team maximum. It's going to be awesome. Bring your 4 buddies. Come play. It's all about the team, all about the team spirit, and playing really hard 40K. And that'll be in Cambridge, Ontario, with a lot more information to follow. Hopefully we sell out again really fast. We have a spot for 10 teams. Everybody seems really excited. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then the next event coming up that we're going to is Adepticon, but we're going to wait and talk about that after the break. So we're just going to take a quick break and be right back to talk to Alex about Adepticon.
All right, we are back. So we're going to get into the next segment of our show, which is talking about the fantasy side of Adepticon. So, as we mentioned earlier on the show, we're here with Alex Gonzalez, and you are the, what was it, Warhammer coordinator, cat herder, something like that for
Yeah,
Adepticon?
it's pretty close. I mean, for the last couple of years for eighth edition, I've been the fantasy coordinator, and now it's kind of AOS coordinator. and also a little bit of Ninth Age too.
Okay.
That falls under my umbrella as well.
All right. So you mentioned earlier in the show, and I don't know if this is up on the Adepticon site. I imagine it is. But what events specifically are being run on the fantasy side at Adepticon this year? Which ones are you handling? And
Okay.
anything specific you want to talk about in terms of the events themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I can address everything. With regards to, well, Adepticon, for those that aren't familiar with it, it's a, I like to look at it as a 4.5 day uh, miniature wargaming convention in beautiful Schaumburg, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. We're at the Schaumburg Renaissance Convention Center and Hotel. And this hotel, for those that are kind of like, well, what kind of a hotel do you get for a bunch of nerds? This hotel is entirely too nice for us. It's very well lit. It is very, very fancy. It has a glorious restaurant in it that's like $100 a plate, but you get what you pay for. So, it's the big thing is that we take up quite a bit of their space. They have a large convention center attached to the hotel that we take up 2/3 of about, um, specifically for 40K. That's one of our big flagships, and the vendor hall. And when I say vendor hall, it's not just GW stuff. It is anything and everything tabletop miniature wargaming. From GW, Malifaux, Weird, Kings of War, Wildest Exodus, you name it, you can find it there. Soda Pop. You can just do just about anything in Adepticon if it's got a miniature attached to it. Um, so, for those that aren't familiar, you can check it out. It's adepticon.org. This is going to be a big year for us. Now, with regards to specifically like the fantasy stuff, we had initially planned on doing the Big Brawl, which is normally our 3,000 point event from 8th edition for those that like to do bigger games, bigger armies, and push a lot of stuff at each other and watch stuff blow up. We recently made the change for that to go to Ninth Age. Um, it's what's currently being supported by some parts of the community. We want to make sure that we have options for our players this year to come in and really see what it's about and get to play the games that they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So for Thursday, we've got a Ninth Age 3,000 point tournament being run by my good buddy Rick Fisher. He's kind of taking the charge on that, and I'm letting him run with it. And then Thursday, I'll be looking to add some small events for AOS now that I don't have to run the big brawl. So I'll have that coming up here probably within the next few weeks. And then Friday has always been our team tournament.
Best one, man.
Yeah, it is the best tournament. It's the only one I let myself play in, because of it's just awesome being able to play a game as a team, and if you have the right partner, it is a seriously awesome time. It's not as hyper competitive, although certainly near the top tables it might have been, but usually not where I'm rolling around.
Oh, it gets competitive. I'm gonna say I've played. I want to say 5 years in a row now. It's the one event I almost always hit. It is a blast because you can go there, as Alex said, have a blast. Like just be like, oh, I'm gonna get drunk and play drunk hammer, and you can actually go there and compete and play like really serious hammer. It's such a good time.
It is, and you get to. It's not just that one-on-one interaction. You actually get to interact with your buddy that you're playing with, and then the two guys that you're playing against are for the most part buddies, and you just get to have a lot of laughs, have a good time, and that's the point. So this year we decided to move that towards Age of Sigmar.
Yes.
So that'll be an AOS team event. We're still working out the final kinks with the comp pack, but that'll be 3 games of AOS team, and we're gonna try to make it fun. And my buddy Scott Tipsword will be running that because that's my day off is on Friday, so I'll actually be looking to play in that this year. So it'll be a good time.
You'll have to play me, man. We'll have to. You have
Grudge
to fight your
match.
way through me to get to the top. Yeah.
Grudge
No,
match.
that's okay. I think we're good. My buddy and I are gonna do Stormcast and something special. So I don't know if I could really hang with most players anymore, but whatever. So that'll be Friday, and I think that'll be something if you're just kind of dabbling in AOS and you really want to see what it's about, which is about laughs and stories and scenarios and more of the thematic elements. I think you'll like the team tournament a lot. And then Saturday, Sunday is our GT, which will be Age of Sigmar. You guys have the compact in front of you. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Um, this one, a lot of the criticism I've gotten from AOS is that you can't play it competitively. Um, I think out of the 4 pages of rules plus all the war scrolls, probably not. But it's like anything else. We have a game that we love, and we just need to make a couple adjustments to make it good for a tournament. And I really think it has that kind of potential. If you've played anything like Warma Hordes or Malifaux or 40K or anything like that, I really think AOS plays like the best parts of those systems. And it's definitely doable. You just have to have good scenarios where it's not just about pushing stuff in the middle, and you have to have a comp pack. It doesn't matter what you're using, as long as you have one to prevent kind of the shenaniganry, and you're good to go. So that'll be 2 days, 5 games, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. We're reworking the schedule right now, so on Saturday I'll have everyone done by 5:30. So this way, people can go out and enjoy the rest of the convention and do other things if they so desire, or hang out with friends, drink, play games, whatever. The hall will still be open, but we're gonna try to keep it a little lighter this year. And it's a rebuilding year with everything that's changed with AOS from 8th edition. So we've got to put on the best event that we can, and to that extent, we are doing something different this year. We are offering players a 1 day option to play Saturday only.
Okay.
So say if you can only do Saturday, if you want to try AOS as a tournament game, but you don't want to commit a weekend to it, we want to make sure that we give people the option. So they will have the option to sign up for a Saturday only version, which will be against the same guys that are playing both days, and we'll do a small awards on Saturday night just for the guys that are only playing the 1 day, and then we'll have everything go back in normal on Sunday.
So
A
what you're
cool
saying
idea.
is that's a really good idea, but so like is it only the guys that drop out win the awards on the Saturday, or is it everybody?
Yes, right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's say you show up on the Saturday and you decide that Age of Sigmar is the greatest thing you've ever played, and you're having an absolute blast, and you want to play the Sunday as well. Is there an option to then carry on to the second day?
I will happily let you in.
That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, that's good. Now, sadly, I'm playing in the 40K four-man team, but this event sounds so awesome. So I
You're
wish
such a tool.
I am. But that's a tradition. We go down, we play the 40K four-man, but man, I'm gonna miss out on this. But okay. So do you want to move on to the comp a little bit, or?
Well, I got one other thing I
Oh,
want to
sorry.
touch on the event. So let's say somebody is in the Chicagoland area, or anywhere nearby, a couple hours, which is a lot of the Midwest. If they show up and let's say they just want to come up for a day or 2 days, what other events do you have if somebody's not going to be in the tournament? Like you've got painting competitions. You said you have the vendor hall. Do you have seminars? Like I know there's been airbrush seminars, all this kind of cool stuff at the event.
The Adepticon cart is going to go live, I believe, next weekend.
Okay.
But a lot of what's on there right now is kind of like a preliminary schedule. So I'll just kind of run through everything. There's 4 days of 40K gaming. All tournaments, there is going to be some open gaming for both 40K, AOS, whatever. There'll also be Malifaux has a big presence at Adepticon. Same with War Machine and Hordes. The Privateer Press guys run events 24/7 throughout Adepticon. So
Wow.
if you want to try out either their board games or Iron Arena, or just to really see what they're about, there's going to be tons of demo games going on. We have a ton of painting seminars. It seems like every 5 minutes we're adding another painting seminar because they've been so popular, just to kind of embrace everything about the hobby whether it's how to use an airbrush or different styles of wet blending or how to do non-metallic metals or how to paint fiddly bits that you may not have a lot of experience painting. So it's just a chance to do a little bit of anything and everything with Adepticon. It's kind of the first. I always liken it as kind of like a nerdvana because it's you get to do anything and everything for anywhere between 1 and 4 days. And if you want to come in and try a new game, if you just want to walk around and do demos, you get your weekend badge, you get, your swag bag, which is always a good value.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
It's ridiculous how much we give away to our participants that come in. And if you just want to walk around, check everything out, check out the vendor hall, check out the games, the terrain is gorgeous. Almost hands down across all of the gaming systems, except for like X-Wing, because that's mats and rocks. But still, there's just so much to do at Adepticon, even if you're not playing in a tournament. You have just so many options, and even if it's just hanging out with other gamers that are there for tournaments or there for doing the same thing that you're doing. And if you guys want, we have a gigantic free-to-play board game area where if you guys just want to go chill out for a couple hours playing a board game, we've got a whole bunch you can borrow and play. So just trying to do anything and everything that we can and give you guys as many options as you possibly want for coming down and spending 1 to 4 days with us.
It's amazing. I have to say, as a guy that does 12 tournaments a year, and Will Paul, everybody knows him in Canada. You know Will, right, Alex?
Will Paul, yeah.
The man with two first names. But anyway, he's like, this is our premier event for the year. Like, we go there and we're like shocked with how awesome it is and how much is going on and how big it is. Like, it's almost scary how big it is in a good way. And as guys that do 20, 30 tournaments, like sometimes a year, like Will does that many you're used to, it's like this place sticks out in our minds. It's definitely worth going. But the piece of advice I'm going to give you now is, it sounds bad, but if you really want some of these premier events there, if you want some of the high-end airbrushing seminars, do sell out really fast.
Yeah, they do.
So Alex was saying, like, they add all these painting seminars like crazy. I have trouble getting tickets to some of them. So it's one of those things that if you're a serious guy and you know you're going for sure, there's nothing wrong with paying, because some of them are really cheap too, to just buy a couple of these tickets. And if you don't show up, you don't show up, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that you can do a day of tournaments and then a day of hobby seminars and then a day of walking around checking out the rest of the convention. Or you can play multiple systems like what you're doing with AOS and then 40K. So it's a ton of options and you can just address everything in one weekend.
Yeah. That's the best thing that I found is you get burnt out with 40K a little bit, like, or even AOS. Like, I used to go for fantasy and you'd play the 3K big brawl, you'd play the fantasy team, and so you've essentially played a GT of fantasy. And then you go and you say, okay, now I'll play a 40K GT just for the variety, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really awesome. I can't stress enough, go if you can go there. I know you want to go this year, right, Logan?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm just trying to get the money lined up for it, but that looks like it's all going to work out. So, assuming we can figure out our plan to get down there, I should be there as well.
Sweet.
So, I guess the last bit of information just before we dive into the compact: when do tickets go on sale? And just for everyone's reference, what is the website again?
It's adepticon.org. That's ADEPTICON.org. The cart should go live in the next week or two. I don't have the exact date in front of me.
November 23rd.
So next Monday.
No, that's Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
soon.
it's the would you guys call that Thanksgiving week Monday?
Sure.
All right. Looks like that's my Christmas present to myself then.
Yeah, it's worthwhile, and I always get, so some people don't think I always get the VIG gamer badge, which is a little bit more money, but you get early access to the Forge World booth. So if you're interested in buying the limited edition Forge World figure, it's definitely worth getting. You also get an extra cup and a T-shirt for an extra like $20, so, or something like that. I don't know what it is this year, but I've gotten it every year, and I love showing off my Adepticon T-shirts at other events. So
yeah, it's also early registration too. The registration line for our event is huge, especially Wednesday night or even Thursday morning, with people checking in for events and picking up their badges. And the VIG, which is the very important gamer, lets you check in early.
Yeah.
So if you're a guy that's coming in for the whole weekend, it's definitely worth the pickup.
Yeah, spoil yourself. It's worth it.
Absolutely.
All right,
Cool.
fantastic. So with that, let's jump into the comp pack that we've got, and this is for the Age of Sigmar singles event, the 2-day GT, correct?
Yeah, and then most of this will be applying to the team tournament and the smaller events I'm going to be looking to add soon.
All right, so I'll let you and Chris take that away and walk through it there.
Okay, so how do you want to do this? You want me to start a little bit? Or
Yeah, sure, if you want.
give you a break and let
You're
me
all
talk
good.
because I love hearing my own voice. So, general rules and errata is the first thing you get in this. The standard things is the natural roll of a 1. To hit, wound, or to save is a failure. So that's like an old GW rule. 1 is a fail.
Mm-hmm.
Saves cannot be increased beyond a 1 plus, which I think is fair and balanced. Bases cannot overlap, which is also really fine. A unit on foot with no more than 20 wounds worth of models and a single model with the hero keyword on foot may garrison a building. Monsters cannot garrison a building. So this is the first thing that I had a question for you. So you're allowed to put 2 units in the building simultaneously is what you're saying? You can put a hero and 20 wounds?
Yeah, that would be actually it's a GW rule. If you look at the rules for garrisoning the buildings and the scenery war scrolls, that's what they have.
Okay. Cool. You may cast spells on units that are engaged in combat, including enemy units, which, of course, I think that's a standard GW rule, right? Just clarification.
Yeah, it's just to make sure because it doesn't explicitly say one way or the other in the rules, and I just don't want to have any muddy issues.
Cool. If at any time your opponent has no models left on the table with no additional units to set up after the game begins, the game is over immediately. Mystic Shield cannot be successfully cast on a unit more than once. I actually like that a lot because.
Yeah, the only ones that can really abuse that is Stormcast, because they have the Castellan's Lantern
Mhm.
in addition to taking a Wizard. So they're the only ones that can double stack, which makes them unique, which is cool. It's just I've gone against the double or triple Mystic Shield Death Star unit. Um, to say that it's enjoyable is a lie.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a primarily defensive army. The one that comes to mind is if you've played against like 20 Corn Chosen with a War Shrine behind it, a unit of Hellstriders directly behind this line of death, and then 2 Hell Cannons. Um, yeah, it's not fun.
No, not fun at all. Uh, so no, it makes sense. That's the one major contention that people are saying anyway online, and I agree with it because the first thing I did with my Stormcast is I took 2 wizards so I could do that, right? And it's just not right. You may only successfully cast 1 summoning spell per hero phase.
Yeah, I
Uh,
some of the other compacts have like that I've seen have either done away with it or just made it a non-factor. I want summoning to be important because it is a part of the game, but I don't want it to be a dominating factor in games.
and I agree with that. Green and I were actually just talking very briefly about that through like BBM about how demons, with no summoning allowed, it makes them essentially unplayable certain demon builds, which he thought was unfair for him as a demon player. Any attack in the shooting phase that would cross terrain other than fences slash walls would also grant cover for the target unit, unless it does not require line of sight. Any models that you would summon must be fully painted to match your army and on your army display for paint judging. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we did that last year with the release of the Undead Legion, and then obviously Demons could have done that with the Reign of Cheese table, but it's just one of those things that it's like I don't want you to play with unpainted miniatures because the game is so much better when everything's painted, and it just looks more professional, and it really just shows that you're not just in it to put models on the table. You're actually in it as the complete hobbyist.
Mm-hmm. Age of Sigmar, glorious victories, sudden death victories, and triumph rules will not be used except where indicated. All terrain will be predetermined. In addition to all models needing for their in all models needed for their army, each player will need to supply a messenger model on a 25 millimeter round base, 6 influence markers on 25 millimeter round bases, and 1 flag marker on a 40 millimeter round base. And they must be painted to match your army. Otherwise, as long as they match your army, you can be as creative as you would like.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is for doing more of the scenario and story driven aspect of AOS, which is what really makes it shine as far as what we've done. So I want to make sure that people can see that we're going to be doing a lot of things, not just push stuff in the middle and hit each other.
Yeah. Okay. So then there's, I guess I'll hand it back to you, Alex, if you want to go through. So we'll go through the army composition, which is what people want to hear about. I've been actually getting a lot of people really want to know about this. And then the next section is rules about summoning, and then we won't go so much detail on the. Maybe we'll get your generic opinion on this, like what you guys did for specific unit rules. We won't go through that. So why don't you? Do you want to just take it away for the
Army comp.
army comp?
Yeah. So what we've looked at, I know in the UK, the Clash comp has really taken off, and then we'll be using it out here for Holy Wars GT in February. But what we've decided to do is to try out the SDK system, which, for those that aren't familiar, it's stat, damage, and keyword are what are used to determine a points cost for an individual model in Age of Sigmar. With how the formula works, is it looks at every single thing on their profile. Some special rules don't get covered as much as others, but it's just one of those things to help create a guideline. And the games that we have played with it have been balanced, and they've come down realistically to the last turn, model for model. It doesn't matter what we're playing or what we're playing with. It's always come down to the last turn, and I think that's a real good indicator for a comp system.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if it's not a predetermined winner. I think the only time I had that is my buddy John flew Malekith through a baleful realm gate and double one it and sent Malekith off the table.
Yeah, that'll
So
cause you to lose.
yeah, that'll do it. But it's one of those things that it's just finding a compact that works. And we went with the SDK because it actually shows their work, which I think is a big deal because a lot of the other compacts are based on feel. I wanted to add a little more of an objective by the numbers point to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like if you go by wounds, if you think about it, if you say take 100 wounds, well, a Night Goblin is not the same thing as an Iron Breaker.
That's true.
Or 2 Night Goblins is not the same thing as a Chaos Warrior. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. It just don't work.
Sorry, I was just gonna say my brother and we're discussing that a lot, and because he was picking apart our comp for our tournament that he ringered in, and his thing was the wound system does not. It basically caters to elite infantry. He says there's no reason to
Yes.
not take elite infantry, as you just said, right?
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, again, to play Age of Sigmar successfully, you need a comp system, something that replaces the social contract between players where, the don't be a jerk rule applies. This is just ironing everything out for everybody's enjoyment. So that's why we went with the SDK. It's just kind of in a nutshell. If you want to check it out, if you Google Age of Sigmar SDK, it'll come up right to the site. And if you look at the sheets, it goes by army, and you just look at the models, and there's a points cost associated with an individual model. So, like if you see, like a Screaming Skull Catapult is worth X many points, and then underneath that, it'll say Skeleton Crew, and that is the cost for a single skeleton crewman. So it would be like 3 or 4 times that cost depending on the machine.
Yeah, and at first you'll open the site and you'll be like, "Holy crap, what am I looking at?" Because the
Yeah.
initial page is like a whole thing of formulas, and you're like, "Oh my god, what is this? I have to math this. Do I have to figure this out?" But as Alex said, it's very clear once you start exploring the site in greater detail.
Yeah, and once you click on the Sheets tab, it really just kind of explains everything from there. And they've covered most everything. They're still working on a few others. I'm in contact with the SDK team that put this together. They're great guys. They really are. And it's just, they want to make the game work. And that's the kind of attitude that I wanted associated with Adepticon, is I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I want to say this is the game that we can play. Let's play it and find a way to make it work for all of us.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so I guess we'll move on from the SDK. What other restrictions did you guys add?
We went with 1,500 points of the system, and the reason we did that is just like my buddy John and I and the guys that we've been playing, we've been doing more 2,000 points, but we've always been guys that have been drawn to bigger games and really enjoyed like the 3K level. But we want to do something smaller just so people can kind of get the feel for it and give it a shot and try, just kind of whatever with the models that they have. And you don't realistically need that many models for 1,500, like cost and everything. If you want to try it out, it's not that big of an investment. So we want to give people the opportunity to try it out and maybe just try like a okay size game.
Yeah, noob friendly, which is nice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is a game that has room to grow, and is gonna continue to grow. That's my hope. That's what I want to see happen. And I think that by doing this, even for just this year, just to get people's feet wet and really kind of get them interested. So with regards to the armies specifically, you can pick up to two factions of an alliance to be uh, consistent in your army. So if you wanted to do Stormcast and Empire, for say, you could do that, but you can't do Stormcast, Empire, and High Elves. It's just the reason we did that is Death and Destruction only have two options,
Hmm.
or one option if you look at it that way. It's Orcs and Goblins and Ogres, or VC and Tomb Kings. Which, and you look at the order, guys, you could seriously do the best from every one of those books, put it together, and say, yeah, let's go. Um, so I didn't want to go that crazy, but I still wanted to do the alliance aspect because that is a very new aspect of AOS, and I didn't just want it to be static.
No,
So
I appreciate that you kept the alliances in there. Yeah,
yeah,
because it is that's the fluff. That's the game.
right.
The undead fight with undead is cool. They're buddies.
Yeah, it's kind of their thing. Um, so just looking at kind of the other things, obviously the named war scrolls are 0-1. That includes Rugloods because they're the only thing that really slipped through. When I saw them in there, I was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Those guys are here? Okay, cool. Um, Formations, like the battles or the battalion formations at the back of the book for all of these, we're not allowing them. And that has a lot to do with SDK does not comp that really well, and a lot of them are not created equal. And with the rest of the compact that we'll get into, there are some that are impossible to make.
Hmm.
And I did not want to exclude formation simply because our compact did not allow you to do it. Namely, like the Spider Fang tribe, where it's you have to take 3 Arachnarok spiders, or the High Elf Dragon list, where you have to take 3 guys on dragons. So, um, we've been playing with them, and a lot of our experience with the formations has not been positive. So, we want to take it a little slower this year and see how things go. Um, War Scrolls with the totem keyword are 0-1. The only reason we did that is because we don't want a lot of people running around with multiple battle standard bearers, which, I know we could do at the end of end times, but I don't know. It looks better, and it kind of clears up the waters as far as I'm concerned. You can still do like multiple standard bearers if you had a Thane standard bearer and a General Empire standard bearer, but you can't have more than one of the Empire standard bearer. So
Which is cool. Yeah.
that yeah, that's what that is. Hero War Scrolls are 1-3. You cannot take more than 2 with the same name. And then any War Scroll that has hero and monster counts as 2. So like Nagash would count as 2 of your 3 heroes because he is a hero and a monster.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, you can take up to 2 War Scrolls with the hero and wizard and or priest keywords. Big reason we did that is because wizards are, as they should be, one of the most powerful models in Age of Sigmar, with the access to different spells, whether it's Mystic Shield and their signature. Arcane Bolt is okay, but it's one of those things that I didn't want that to get out of control.
Hmm.
So there's that limit. 2 War Scrolls with the monster keyword. Monsters are huge in this game. I don't know if you guys have really caught that. Um, they're kind of a big deal now. Even
Yep.
just something as simple as the Humble Mangler Squig went from being a 65-point terrain feature to being, oh crap, I have to kill that.
Yeah. Mangler squigs are the one thing that they'll delete a unit. It's unbelievable what they'll do in one round.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Vargeists as well were a huge surprise. They went from, or sorry, Vargulfs went
oh yeah,
from being crap to being absolutely amazing and devastating.
yeah. I mean, the big thing I did like with Age of Sigmar just in general is that they did everything at once, and there was no quote power creep.
Hmm.
So it's just everything got reset at once, and I've been wanting that since I started playing this game because like sixth edition just came out with a new book, got better. Seventh edition, it really started to rev right around the Demon VC and Dark Elf time in seventh, and everything got done at once, and everything is good now. There's no
Hmm.
real like bad choices in AOS, which is awesome. Um, War machines are 0 to 3, which includes skull cannons and iron blasters. A lot of people have told me that skull cannons are not what they used to be. No, they are
Yeah, they are.
better than what they used to be.
They're not garbage. It's like the old thing. Even in eighth edition, guys with cannons said cannons did nothing, and guys with skull cannons say they do nothing. They need to be comped. They're too powerful.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that in situations like this, you if I had not put that restriction, you could have had an entire army of skull cannons, and I mean, you. I don't know how good it would be. I don't want to find out, but I don't know how good it could be.
I assume it's good, but yeah, you're right.
Um, War scrolls can have no more than. Oh, and then I just wanted to clarify because there are some people that may look at the SDK system and say, "Oh, I can buy as many units of crew as I want." For like war machines because it's listed separately. So I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed, just for clarifying. I know it seems like a nitpick, but it's just to make sure that it's not. Oh, I'm going to put down a unit of 3 Goblin crewmen. It's like, okay, but what gun are they going to go with? Well, nothing. I just have a unit of 3 Goblin crewmen. It's like, oh, okay. Um, so that's just to clarify stuff.
So I wanted to. That's the one. That's the only thing that I wanted to elaborate on a little bit was we play here because I put this on Twitter and a lot of people kind of said, well, compacts separate the crew from the war machine. How we play it here is that the war machine and the crew are one unit, and so if you shoot the war machine or fight the war machine, I just allocate the wounds to whoever I want. So if I put it on one guy, I kill him, and then I put it on the gun, I have to keep taking wounds on the gun until it's removed. And because we had issues when the game first came out where guys would say, well, you just take your crew off of like a crappier war machine and you jump it on your good war machine once its crew dies and things like that. But from my point of view, it was like very clear that they were one unit put together. And a lot of people are complaining, well, there's crew that say if they're within 1 inch of their war machine, they get a cover save. But if they're one unit, how do they get a cover from that, which is +1 armor, not a save? But and then my response to that would be, well, if they're within an inch, if you allocate tax to them, they get +1 save. So I just want to know why are you guys or why do people? I'm just confused. I don't understand why you guys play them separately. Is there a reason?
Well, it's just this is more for clarification. It's just it's one of those things that you can look at it and see, like even like skink handlers in the Lizardman is a separate entry from the Razordons and the Salamanders. So it's strictly just a clarifier. That's all it is.
Oh, that they have to be combined as one unit, or that
Yes.
they're yeah, because that's good that you're clarifying that because like I read it and to me, which I know I sound like GW when I say this, it's clear that they're one unit, but a lot of people think it isn't. So,
Yeah.
thanks for the clarification. I just wanted to kind of get that out there that that's like I find that a very contentious issue right now when I play people because they want to separate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Let's see. Units can have no more than 40 total wounds. A lot of the compacts put a cap at 35 total wounds. The only reason we went as high as 40 is I don't want to take away special rules from models. And ogres and minotaurs and stuff like that, they have rules where if you have 10 or more of them in a unit, they get a bonus.
Hmm.
Now, granted, if you lose an ogre, you're going to lose the bonus, but I'm not going to take it away from you automatically, just straight out the gate. So that was the reason we have that there. Plus, also some units that are not as robust as ogres can actually afford to take a hit.
Yep.
Um, so there's that. This one is kind of specific. Death armies cannot comprise their armies of more than 50% of total points with the following units, which is Apophis, Swarms, Scorpions, Carrion, and Stalkers. Um, I've heard and read nightmare stories about armies comprised of exactly those things and just crapping on people, saying, well, I'm just going to start in the ground or flying high. You can't touch me. And then end of the game, I pop up and we draw. Yay, fun.
Yeah, that's not
Um,
fun.
no, it's not. So I just want to make sure that you're actually going to play your game and not be a jerk about it. Even though it's cool to do, like, because if you think about it, it's a really cool theme idea to have. I'm going to have everything pop out of the ground, and you're not going to know where it's coming from. Because that to me seems very thematic, very like
The
almost
Mummy,
cinematic
man.
quality. Yeah, yeah,
That's the
exactly.
Mummy in game form.
And I just don't want it to potentially ruin somebody's day. And I know I hate to say that, but I have to assume the worst sometimes with people that may come and play to a tournament. I just want to make sure that I'm taking care of extremes. So, then let's see. A lot of the models and units have choices of what they can get armed with. That has to be clearly indicated and modeled appropriately. A lot of the standard bearers, musicians, unit champions, those sort of things have different options for different equipment. And that has to be clearly labeled as far as what they have. So say it's not you're switching between the Bad Moon banner and a Goblin flag with your Night Goblin unit. It's what banner do you have walking in? Just like how we had with 8th edition, that same kind of principle.
Yep.
And then only one of each command model. So you can't have an entire unit made of bearers of the word with the scroll thinger duder and just poop on people.
Yeah, that Logan would like that one because he fought with me on our compact for that one.
Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have a specific example for it. So I do have one question for you, just while we're on the general sort of comp section. This is something that came up when we were working on the comp for our last event. Have you had any questions about, and maybe I missed this, but are you planning to address anything about how keywords are inherited across? So the example of this is like Bellicor. He's not a monster, but he has the Demon Prince keyword, and a Demon Prince is a monster. So with that in mind, would Bellicor count against one of your monster choices?
I would not go that far because he
Okay.
doesn't have it.
Okay, so just as written, if it's not there, it's not there?
Correct.
Okay.
That simplifies it a little bit. Cool. So I guess we'll move on. Summoning new units. I guess there's not much to that section. If you want to go through that, Alex.
Um, so what with summoning, we do have a demon player in my local meta, and he is entirely Zinj demons. And we did do the math, and it hurt with regards to how the Zinj infinite summon loop could work. Because if you've read it, all your Chaos Wizards know the Summon Horror spell, and it's a 5.
Yeah.
And Zinj Horrors are wizards. So you start with one unit, and as long as you continue to roll 5s, you'll continue to make more units, and that's just starting from one unit or one hero. And it's just like, oh, well, that's great. There was 30 of them. There's now 210 of them.
Yep.
Okay, this is fun. Great. So we wanted to make summoning a part of the game, but not have it dominate the game. Nagash would be another good example of potential domination in the summoning game because he can do 5 different ones a turn. And if that's all he did for his entire game was to sit on the back and just say, "Yep, new bros, go do my thing." That is that really a game? And it's just putting more and more models on the table to the point where you cannot win. And I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, it's bad
So
for the scene. It'd be bad for your event if a newer player came and that happened to him.
exactly, because then it's one of those things that's like, well, this guy just totally chipmunked me and just completely ruined my weekend. I don't want that. That's why a lot of these rules are here, is to prevent that from happening. So that's why it's here. Sometimes it looks a little extreme and a little like limiting, but it's there for a reason. So, with regards to like specific limitations on summoning, models with the hero keyword cannot be summoned by means of a spell or command ability. Um, the command ability that comes to mind is the Warriors of Chaos Lord, getting to summon a new Slave to Darkness unit every turn. I didn't want him to just pull a Shaggoth out of his back pocket or something else. Just have it be dudes. And then it also helps eliminate the infinite summoning loop with summoning a Tzeentch Herald, which then summons another Tzeentch Herald, which then proceeds to poop on you.
Yeah.
So, and then Neferata has an ability where she can summon a Vampire Lord when she kills somebody the first time. I'm okay with that. That's part of her rules, and it's one time only. So for that one, we didn't see that one as that big of a deal. Summon units effectively have summoning sickness, so they can't do anything until the next hero phase. We've had a lot of experiences where I'm going to summon this new unit, and it's going to charge you, and you're going to die, and that was fun. Great. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't strategically move away from it. You can't do anything to deal with it. You just get hit by it.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't want that to happen either. Now, we did do something where you have to create a summoning pool of units that you can summon. And all your wizards will know those summoning spells. It's just to make it so it's not like you're accessing the exact tool you need. I want you to actually think about what you're going to take in your summoning pool and not just have it be, well, I'm going to dump my entire collection on the table.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. So the example that will be shown is and it's half your points. So it's 750. You only get one successful summon a turn. So just this way people can get an idea. Like the example I have, I play Tomb Kings. So what I have is a Tomb King list, which would be 20 archers with a standard musician, 2 Necropolis Knights, because there is a reanimate Necro Knight spell attached to the Necro Knights, 6 Carrion, 3 crew, and 5 horse archers, and that's 750 points in SDK. So it's like people can kind of get an idea. It's like, okay, well, if I burn through all my Carrion, I can't summon another flock after I've summoned my 6.
Yeah.
So
That's kind of cool because I like that you're like, my war machine's just got a little bit better if I'm playing undead because you can shoot I can take all the wounds on the crew and then summon the crew. They can't shoot that turn, but then at least my catapult's back in action 2 turns later.
right, and it's one of those things that I didn't want some of that cheese to happen. I want this to be a good, positive experience and really showcase what this game can and is. So that's why a lot of this is here.
Cool. So I guess we'll go on to the next one. Unit-specific erratas. Just very high-level generically. Is there anything that sticks out in there that you wanted to talk about?
Filth Weaver. His whole thing where you can change the result roll on a dice roll to whatever you want it to be.
Yep.
And then you combine that with the Screaming Bell. And I don't know why they put that 13 on there. I know they meant it as a joke. However, I don't want to give somebody an auto win condition simply because they said, well, I'm going to play Filth Weaver and I'm going to play with a Screaming Bell, and it doesn't matter what you do because you're going to lose turn 1.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I read Fate Weaver and I think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. I didn't even think that you could change it to a 7 or a 12, right?
Yeah, it says change it to a result of your choosing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's just kind of
it's very open-ended wording, and it's to the point where somebody will show up with, invariably, let's say a 100 or 200 person event, someone will show up with it and try it if it's not in your pack.
Exactly. And again, that is wait a minute, I drove or flew all the way here, and then I get to play no time of a game, and all I did was set up my miniatures and then take them back down.
Yeah, that's garbage. I agree, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a couple other things that we needed to address, specifically Durthu. His command ability to summon Sylvaneth Wildwood.
Yeah.
It doesn't say how many is the cap. It says 2 or more, which then becomes I'm going to smother the whole table in Sylvaneth Wildwood and have fun with that.
Yeah. That needs to be capped. Yeah.
Yeah, we even reduced the number of Wildwoods people could take just out of the box for us, I think. Mm-hmm. It got a bit too crazy.
Yeah, you'd look at every board was Wood Elves, and they had like a row of forests, and you're just
Yeah.
like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean
Or
it's cool for
Sylvanas.
them, but if you're gonna do it, it's just one of those things that's like it's again potentially game breaking and potentially like day ruining.
Yeah, and a lot of them are
And
ugly.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
because
slows the
they're.
game down too, right?
Hmm.
But like when a table has 4 ugly woods on it or 12, it's just like you take pictures of it, and I was like, oh,
Yeah. So again, this is about having a good experience with a tight rule set. So that's why all this is here.
cool. And then acting out, I noticed that you guys did something very unique in this section, which I really liked. As you said, you can either do the ability on the battle scroll, which is like, oh, I'm gonna lift a grail and cheer for the lady. You can either do that to get the ability, or you guys went through and wrote alternates that people can do if they don't want to act out.
Yeah,
So
and
that's really
most
cool.
most of these are you just get the ability automatically, but there are some things like Marius Leitdorf. His whole thing is you have to pretend to ride an invisible horse and then talk to said invisible horse. Um, what for stuff like that, it's you get the first ability automatically, and then the second part of it you have to roll a dice, and on a 4 or better you get it. Um, it's just to clean it up, but I don't want to take away what may be somebody's version of fun. If you want to, yell and scream wog whenever you charge with an orc in it, go right ahead. But
Yeah,
if that's not your part of the hobby, if that's not your part of the game, I want to give you an option for it instead of just losing an ability.
yeah, that's very fair. Okay, so I guess we'll just wrap up quickly with the missions. So scenario one is building power. What was your thoughts with this one?
This one, and we'll just talk about this one, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'm cool with
Um,
that. Yep.
I don't want to show everyone my hand because I don't release scenarios prior to this.
Oh, so we don't have to
So
talk about them at all if you don't want to.
no, I want people to see what I'm talking about. Because part of the situation with AOS is that in order to play this game successfully, you need scenarios and
Yeah.
you need good ones where it's not just push it in the middle and hit each other.
Agreed.
So that's why I have these included for you guys to see is that it's not just push it in the middle and slap around. It's actually about doing something. So this one has we had made the little Adepticon burnt wood pieces last year that we used in the tournaments. Um, so using those in conjunction with the flag markers that people will be bringing,
Mhm.
they get placed along the center line of the table, and your goal to accrue game points, which is going to determine the winner, is you have to have a hero within 5 inches of that marker. So it's whoever has the most points at the end of the game determines who wins, not who kills the most. Whoever has the most of these game points. Um, and then no other unit except for heroes can get within 5 inches of these markers.
Well, that's cool.
Well, I don't want someone to take a mob of 30 night goblins and easily surround this ring of a point and deny an opponent like that.
Mhm.
So that's why that restriction is there. Um, and then it also encourages like the thematic combats between characters engaging in challenges and stuff like that, because at that range they're almost guaranteed to start swinging at each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's just to add a little bit of flavor and not just have it be about killing each other. And then what you guys will also see is under the victory points, we've also added secondary and tertiary objectives. If you've played Malifaux, for those that are familiar with how that works, is you have a strategy and then you have 2 schemes, and that's how you get your victory points. I kind of borrowed that because, again, Malifaux is a scenario heavy game. And if we're going to play AOS successfully, it needs to be a scenario driven game. So you will have your strategy. Well, one of your secondary objective is going to be determined by your general's alliance, whether it's order, chaos,
Ooh.
death, or destruction, and that is your secondary objective based on the Age of Sigmar rules. That's based out of the sudden death chart. So like assassinate, blunt, endure, and seize ground. So that will be something uniquely assigned to your particular alliance. And then your tertiary is one of those other 3 that was not your secondary, and you get to pick it and keep it secret. So there's a little more like kind of a trickery element to it, of it looks like I'm going to go for this, but I'm actually going to do this. So I wanted to make it more than just, oh, I have to do two of these things. It's you do one of them and the other you keep secret, but you have to write it down.
Sweet.
And
So that's
because
kind of cool.
oh, I was just
Sorry, go
gonna
ahead,
say,
Logan.
because someone that's listening will invariably ask this question in some form, you're using these sudden death objectives for the secondary and tertiary. Will they count for an immediate victory? I know the answer to
No,
this, but people listening don't.
no,
Okay.
just clarifier. And that's on there.
Yep.
Yeah, will not automatically secure a victory. I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to be, well, as long as I keep this one guy alive until the end of the game, I win. So I don't want that to happen. I want that to be important, but not have that be my whole game is to protect this thing.
That is
Um,
cool though. So if you're order, you always have to assassinate, and then you can either choose, yeah, anything else. So you can really design your army for this style of scenario if you wanted to. I know I'm sure you're going to change them, and it's going to be different every round, but
it will be.
that's going to definitely like so. I basically have to, in my head, be able to hold objectives, fight off the enemy, and obtain sudden death objectives as bonus points. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
really dynamic, yeah.
I wanted it to be more than push stuff in the middle. And I mean, I've played push stuff in the middle AOS before, and it's fun, but after a turn or two, it's kind of like, can we be done now?
Yeah,
Yep.
I really would rather do just about anything else. Um, so I
agreed.
didn't want that to happen. I wanted it to be an exciting game that is story and scenario driven, which is what it is. And I want to show this game at its best. And this, I think, is it.
Yeah. No, that's really neat. So that's the compact. Do you have any final words about it, Alex?
Um, for the team tournament, we're still working out the kinks, but it'll be predominantly based on this smaller armies, but between teams. Um, and again, this is a pack that I want to get out there as soon as I possibly can. I'm not sure when it's going out, but my goal is to have it out so people can see it and give us feedback because this is a new game for all of us.
Hmm.
And then I want feedback from the community on how they may have found a way to break this compact and say, hey, I found this problem. How can we fix it? This is a community effort as far as I'm concerned with this new game that is, in a lot of parts not well received because of the changes. And, play your game. It's play what you think is fun. Don't let someone else's opinion influence you. I mean, I personally really like AOS, and it could easily be my favorite version of a Warhammer game, but that's me. So I want people to play the game that they want to play, be happy, and that's it. And if this is your game, please try it out. I want feedback. I want, positive building feedback. I don't want it to be like, oh, well, you're playing AOS. That's stupid. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's just the game I want to play. So,
It's for children. Don't try and fix it. Well, screw
Yeah.
you, man. I want to actually play and have fun because I have all these figures that I love, right?
Yeah,
right.
definitely, and that's a fantastic mindset for it, and it's something that I think everyone really needs to promote. And this is something that came up a bunch. Like I used to do a lot of fighting game stuff, so Street Fighter, all that kind of stuff. And there's a whole ton of just really obscure games in there. And one thing that someone rather prominent in the community said at some point was, you don't need to shit on other people's games. Just come out, rep your game, and get people excited about it, and that does far more good for your game and your community than anything else possibly could. So it's really great to see that happening with Age of Sigmar.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm super stoked. I want to ask you so bad what the point cost is going to be on the doubles tournament, but I don't want to push the envelope.
No, it's okay. I'm actually going to be, for those that also may listen, to CanHammer. I'm going to be on with them in a few weeks. Again, talking about this. I know that they're talking about coming out to Adepticon, but Wayne in particular had said he'd love to see an AOS doubles, and that's what we're doing because I really want to play in an AOS doubles. I think that is where the game will shine the most. Is than AOS doubles event, and you can expect it to be about 1,000 points.
Yes, okay, that's what I wanted to hear because I've been
About.
I've been kind of making that. Yeah, so that's good enough. But okay, well, thanks, man. So we have the next segment in the show is a Q and A that we usually poll our I guess, our live stream if anybody's still there because we are running a bit late, which is totally fine. Is anybody on there, Logan, or do they want to ask any questions?
We do not have any questions yet. I just asked for it. We got a couple viewers, so we'll see what comes in over the next few minutes. Keeping in mind that they're a couple minutes behind us. But just to echo what Chris said, Alex, thanks very much for joining us. It's great to hear about everything that's coming up at Adepticon this year. And I gotta say, you've got even me a little bit excited about Age of Sigmar, and that's a tough thing to do.
You should do one of the events, Logan, for sure. Because like you can't go and play 40K for 4 days. I'm
No,
telling you,
God,
you
no, I
can't
can't.
do it.
I can't.
So
No.
so you should totally do at least one AOS event, and maybe one. I don't know what else do you play, but
Yeah, you said what the Friday is the doubles, Saturday, Sunday is the GT. What's happening on the Thursday for Age of Sigmar?
I haven't added it yet because Rick just recently took the big brawl away from me. But we've always done for the last couple of years how you use it style events, which was 1,000 points of Age of Sigmar,
Okay.
or of 8th edition, I should say. So I want to bring that back so this way people can do a small AOS event during half their day if they have a seminar or something, or they're coming in late on Thursday. So I'll be looking to add those so you can do small points, like maybe like 1,000 of SDK, and just come out, try it, see if you like it, and you don't have to commit the whole weekend to it, but just come out and see what it's about.
yeah, I did
All
those
right.
last year for fantasy, and they ran two of them, so you could play 6 games in one day. And it's well worthwhile because you just get to meet more people and they're fast. And I find it Thursday's usually like the first day that we're in there, and you're kind of like, the cons is kind of picking up, and it's just great to get in there and pump out these little games. So
Very
definitely
cool.
recommend. So no, I guess no questions.
No, we don't have anything in the chat. As you mentioned, we are running over on time. It's getting late, so.
So I guess that's it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As usual, this was a CanHammer podcast supported by One Plus Armor YouTube channel. If you want more information, go to canhammer.com. You can find me on Twitter as @canhammerchris. Logan is.
At OnePlus Logan.
And Alex, are you on Twitter?
No.
Is there any way people can get in touch with you, or do you want people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way I have had people get in touch with me, with regards specifically to Adepticon issues, is emailing info@adepticon.org. And if you put AOS or WFB question in the subject matter or in the subject line, it gets shot directly to me.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So I definitely want to get people's feedback, and once we get this compact out, I want to hear from people and what they think, what they're finding is a problem. I want to make this the best AOS tournament that we can make it, and it's not just me. This is a community effort if we're going to make this game grow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
agreed. So with that, guys, thanks for listening and have a good one.